Should you buy a house today or not? This is something I'm getting asked nearly every single day. And I'm always going to keep it real with you. So make sure you stay to the very end if you are one of these folks that you don't know what to do right now. My name's seanu Uyehara. I'm an area manager with Geneva Financial. I've been in the mortgage business over 15 years, and the information that I share with you and the reason why I created this channel is because I want to help you get your mortgage right. Whether you're a first-time buyer or a seasoned investor, I want to make sure that you know the ins and outs of the things that we see as a lender, so that way you can make the best decision for yourself and continue to build wealth through real estate. Now, the current state of the housing market right now is all over the place. So many of you are on the sidelines hoping and wishing that the market's going to crash. Yet, so many of the statistics that we look at numbers-wise shows otherwise. So I want to show you a few stats and charts of things that I've been looking at lately to show some of the things in the market that I think matter, that you as a common person, not in the industry, might not be privy to. The first thing I want to show you is the total inventory of homes for sale that are single-family homes across the US. Now, this data that I'm giving you is a national statistic, but what you need to do is make sure that you understand your local market that you're looking to buy in. The national statistic is great to understand. Maybe trends is what we're predicting. However, every market across the country is going to be slightly different from the next. So this is why you want to either connect with a loan officer who understands the market, can get you some data, or maybe even a real estate agent who can get you that information as well. Any real estate agent can get you the amount of homes that are for sale, the amount of homes that are selling. That way you know the months of supply that are on the market. And the reason you want to know the months of supply in the market is because that gives you a general idea as to the activity that's going on wherever you're looking to buy. Any market that has about 4 to maybe 6 months worth of inventory, you would consider that a balanced market. Now, anything under the 4 months, you're going to look at considering that as a seller's market, which means prices tend to go up. There are less homes for sale versus the amount of buyers and demand that's in the market. Therefore, prices will go up. Anything over the 6 months of inventory, there's a buyer's market because there's more homes for sale and there's less demand. So you can see here on this chart, going back from 2015 all the way until now to January of 2023, you can look at the inventory. It's significantly lower than what it was in 2019. In 2019, that was right before COVID happened, and you can see that inventory dropped along with interest rates dropping. We then created one of the worst issues that we're all facing today is the affordability problem. So you can see that the inventory is heading towards all-time lows again, despite interest rates being at 6 and 7%. That is still not hurting the market as much as we all thought it would. Don't get me wrong, 6 and 7% rates makes it really unaffordable for a lot of people, and there's not as many buyers. A lot of sellers don't want to sell because they don't want to give up a 2% rate for a 7% rate. So this is creating a ton of problems and a big bottleneck in the entire industry right now. However, the inventory is still fairly low, which again, it's affecting values. And I can tell you a lot of the markets that we service, we are still seeing home values either staying steady or still slightly creeping up, which is crazy because you would think that things are just falling from the roofs right now, but it's not. That's one of the biggest misconceptions I think a lot of buyers that are on the sidelines are thinking. They think that prices are going to come down another 30, 40, 50%. But my argument to that is, where is the inventory? You need inventory in order for the prices to be affected. Now, I know there was someone that commented that there were a ton of homes being built, and that's fine. However, a home being built is still going to take another 6 to 9 months before that even hits the market. And I can reassure you that builders are not going to overbuild to flood the market with inventory, because they are the only people out there, unless you're a house flipper or someone else that's buying a house to renovate it, that's putting out new inventory to the marketplace. So why would I cut off my nose to spite my face simply because I want to get more houses out? I don't want to do that. I'm going to hold back the inventory. I'm going to create the demand, and then I'm going to get 20, 30 buyers lined up for maybe the 10 houses that we have available, and we're going to charge them a premium for that. The builders proved this concept during COVID when rates were low and they had no inventory. They created lotteries. They made you show up to their track sites at 8 a.m. on a Saturday to wait in line just to see if you get your name called. They're going to do this exact same thing again if we continue to have this inventory problem. This next chart here I want to show you goes over single family delinquency rates, 90 plus days in foreclosure. This is from calculatedriskblog.com. And again, this is going back from 1998. You can see the difference between Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac loans and the delinquency rates. You can see during 2009, it's spiked to almost 6%. If you had a Fannie Mae loan, Freddie Mac was a little over 4%. But look at where we are today as of January 2023, when I took a snapshot of this, under 1%. Again, people are qualifying for loans today. Back in the day, you did not qualify. If you had a heartbeat, you got a mortgage. That is literally how easy it was to either do loans or sell houses in the business. And that's why a lot of those people that were in the business back then that are no longer selling homes and no longer doing mortgages. Everyone that's qualifying for a house today is qualifying. You got to pull your credit. You have to have a credit score to qualify. You have to have income. You have to prove your income. You can't state your income like we did in 2005 with the no verification loans that were being done. Now, the only product right now that's kind of out of the box is a DSCR loan, which basically means as long as the house can cash flow, you can get financing on it. But the thing with that is you're putting quite a bit of money down because of where housing prices are today and where interest rates are. So again, you're not doing 100% financing. It's probably 20, 30, 40% down to get that deal done, or a bank statement loan. But again, a bank statement loan, you're still proving that you have cash being generated every single month. So even though it's not a fully documented loan with everything in it, it's a bank statement. A lender can still verify that you are generating some sort of revenue through your business in order to qualify for the loan. So you can see that the delinquency rate is extremely low, if not some of the all-time lows that we've ever seen since 1998. So again, if you're on the sidelines thinking that I'm going to get this deal and there's going to be all these foreclosures, there's no sign to it. There's no sign to it. And I've said this before, that the banks are not stupid enough to let the foreclosures happen again. They made the mistake of not helping homeowners during the boom, and they let those houses go back. They took them, and then they were stupid enough to flood the market with all the inventory all at once. So they killed themselves and they killed their profit. But what have they done since that have proven that I'm right? During COVID, they had the opportunity to foreclose on people, but what did they do? They said, no, we're not going to do it. We're going to offer forbearances. So guess what, Mr. Homeowner? You don't need to pay your house. I'm going to let you stay in it for 3 months, 6 months, however long it's going to be, and we're not going to affect your credit. We're not even going to kick you out of your house. We're just going to tack that payment to the back of your loan. How cool is that? Imagine if they would have did that during 2005 in that crash, but they didn't. So again, they're not going to do this. They're not going to make the same mistake all over again. In fact, they just came out with an announcement that they are willing to extend mortgages to 40-year terms. Why are they doing that? Because if you can't afford your 30-year mortgage today, guess what? We'll tack on another 10 years. We're going to put you in a 40-year loan, and you'll just pay us back another 10 years on your mortgage. That to the homeowner is going to sound amazing versus going into foreclosure. All right, now I got you up to speed on what's going on in the market. Let's talk about some pros and cons of what's going on right now. Now, the pro of being in the market today is that sellers are willing to negotiate. You as a buyer, you want a deal. Everybody wants a deal. And guess what? The sellers, they want to sell their house, but they still think that their house is going to sell in a week, just like you want a 2% interest rate. So here's the cool thing. The longer the house sits on the market, the less activity they get. The agent could be doing open houses. No one's coming to the open house. Maybe they don't even get an offer after the first week it hits the market. So guess what? They're going to start panicking. And if they don't have a good strategy going to sell their house, this is where you as a buyer can take advantage of that. The sellers are going to be willing to talk shop with you. They're going to be willing to negotiate. They're going to offer credits. They're going to offer incentives. They're going to offer something to get you to buy their house. So as a buyer, this is your opportune time to take advantage of that. According to Redfin, you can see in this article here, nearly half of home sellers are making concessions. That was unheard of when rates were into 2s and 3s. So now, yes, you're not getting a really low interest rate, but you don't have to pay above what the house is worth. That was the name of the game in 2020 and 2021. You saw a house listed for $400,000. How much can you go above that? And remember, when you went above that, that was cash that you came out of pocket to get that done. The lender wasn't financing that money. And you had to pay your own closing costs. The sellers wouldn't answer anyone's phone calls. They didn't care. They wouldn't even do an open house because the minute the house hit the market, they would get 10 offers. So it was the easiest time in the game if you were a seller or a listing agent. You made money without even having to do anything because there was so much demand from the buyers out there. Another pro is that you can take your time when you're shopping around today for your house. Again, comparing to what it was in 2020, you had to make a decision the minute you left that house. There was no time to think about it. And that's why there were stats that talked about nearly 60-70% of people that bought homes during that time had some sort of regret. Because this process of buying a house, there's a lot that goes into it, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. There's so many questions you don't know what to ask. So imagine being forced to make a decision on a $400,000 or $500,000 house with having no time to think about it. That's insane. So this is why the market that we're in today, you can take your time. You can go look at the house with your friends and family. Go back a second time. Check it out. Walk through the house again. See if it's something that you really like. Do you like the neighborhood? You can really process this and decide if this is the right thing for you. And that's a good thing. Now, some of the cons is obviously interest rates are not what they were. But if you look at what they were over the last 50 years or so, the average interest rate is about 7.5%. So we're right on target with that. However, interest rates will start to come back down again at some point. So remember, your interest rate is not permanent. It's not final and forever. It's for the time being. And this is why the strategy of how you get into your house is more important than the interest rate itself. Because if you wait for interest rates to go back down, let's say to 4%, do you know how many other people just like you are making the same decision? And remember what I talked about with demand and supply in the beginning of this video. What do you think is going to happen to demand if interest rates drop back down? Demand's going to go up. There's not a lot of homes out there for sale. So do you think values are going to go up? You absolutely bet yourself they will. So right now there's less competition. You get a chance to get the seller to cover your costs. Maybe negotiate them down on their price. You as the buyer, you hold all the cards in the market that we're in today. But this leads me to my next point, whether or not you should buy, is your financial situation. You have to understand your numbers. What do you qualify for? This is why us as a lender, we are the most important step in the entire buying process. We have to know what you can qualify for because we don't want you to be house poor. Meaning, I don't want you stressing about having to make your house payment. So you want to make sure that the payment you can qualify for is comfortable today. I don't care if you're going to get a second job. I don't care if you have money coming in. We don't want to make a decision based on the what ifs or the variables of the world. We want to make sure based on your current scenario today, can you afford the house? Are you comfortable with your budget? Do you even have a budget? And I've been talking about creating a budget on my channel for the last several videos. So make sure that you understand how to create one. That way you go into this process understanding what your income looks like and how much debt that you have. If you got some debt that you need to clear up, pay off, get that stuff done. Get rid of it. So that way you go into this house purchase with the best possible opportunities of being successful. Another thing you need to think about are your long-term goals. How long do you plan to stay in the house? How long do you plan on staying in the city that you're living in? Maybe you moved there for work and you're on assignment and maybe you might be there for a year or two. Then you need to think about what are you going to do with the house if you have to leave and get relocated again? Are you going to sell it? Are you going to turn it into a rental? So you have to start asking yourself these questions. This is why you really need to connect with a lender and a real estate agent as early on in the deal as possible, because we want to have these conversations with you because you're not going to think about this in the midst of trying to find a house, work, pick the kids up, and deal with all these other things. So we want to make sure we're addressing some of these blind spots that you might not be thinking about because, again, you don't want to get yourself in a bad spot where in a couple of years, let's say the housing market does pull back for some reason. Something goes crazy in the world that we're not even thinking about right now, like a pandemic or something crazy like that, that affects the value. Something else hits the market that we're not even talking about today. Can you sell the house? Can you maintain the mortgage? Can you maintain two mortgages? Maybe a rent payment and a mortgage payment. So these are all the things that we want to make sure that we're addressing with you. And that way, when we qualify you, we know both myself and you are feeling comfortable with the home purchase. And you know what? Sometimes you might not just be ready right now to buy, and you have to face that. I know that's not what you want to hear, but maybe your credit's just not good enough to qualify today because maybe your credit cards are maxed out. Maybe you've got some collections where you made some silly mistakes back in the past that we have to face today. Some of those things still haunt some of our clients, and they're working diligently to fix it today. But they knew that they put it off for a couple of years. So if that's you, make sure you understand your credit. Make sure that you get your finances in check. If you are thinking about buying a car, put the car on hold unless it's going to make you money. These are some of the decisions sometimes that we have to make that maybe we might not want to think about today, because maybe we think just because our buddy bought a house that you're going to be able to qualify. Again, everyone's scenario is going to be different. There is no blanket yes that if you work at this job, you're going to buy a house. There's a lot of people that I've seen in my career that work great jobs that can't qualify for mortgages. And the two most common things that kill a deal is income. You don't make enough money. But why do you not make enough money? Because you have a lot of debt and your credit score is just not where it needs to be. So with that combination, it affects every single one of us in buying a house, whether you're a first-time home buyer or you're an investor. So those are some of the things that you have to face, and you have to realize that if any one of those items are going to hold you back, go and address it now, and you still have time to be able to buy something down the future. Don't let that get you so discouraged that you give up on home ownership. I hate hearing stories about people that do that, because it is possible. You just have to work a little bit harder than the next guy to get into the house, but it's never impossible. There's always a way to get you into a home. And if you're a first-time home buyer, don't think that you need to have 20% down to buy your house. There are so many down payment assistance options that are out there all across the country. There's low down payment options. You can put 3%, 5% down to buy a home today. There's so many grants that I keep seeing over and over on social media that are available to homeowners. So don't give up. Be resourceful. Ask questions. If buying a house is a goal to you and it's something you really want to accomplish, start asking questions, and you're going to get the right people that start to come to you, because the universe is going to bring that to you. If you put out good energy and you set it as a goal that you really want to accomplish it, it's going to happen. So don't give up. You need to decide for yourself. Take a minute after you watch this video, start creating a budget. Look at some things that maybe you can start paying off today. Maybe you can put another $100, $500 a paycheck into your savings account so you can start saving up more money faster. Pay down that credit card faster so you can get your credit score up another 50 points to get you into a better spot to become a homeowner. There's a lot of things that you can start today. And if you don't know where to start, hit the description below. You'll find my email. Send me a message, and I'd be happy to customize a game plan for you to get you in a position to buy, whether it's 6 months from now or a year from now. We can get you into a spot so you can be successful, become a homeowner, and start playing the game like the rest of us are doing in the real estate world. Share this with a friend who needs some inspiration and who doesn't know where to start. That's what I'm here for. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.